Today we're going to take you on a journey that we've been on for about the last year, and that is building accessibility where there was none, where there was no audits, not on paperwork, not even a conversation. And Talus is a global company of 80,000 employees, and no one was talking about accessibility until we had a moment, and we'll talk about that moment here in a minute. So our story is not just about compliancy. It's really a story about doing the right thing, about seeing a fire and choosing to run towards the fire, about realizing that, the work that I've dreamed of doing, I've been dreaming of being in accessibility, designing for humans, right? Designing not just for the average human, but for all humans. And I left a company to join this company to take on that task because I knew the work that I would be working on would be touching tens of millions of people every day. And I thought that was a great opportunity. But when I got there, I realized that dream wasn't going to be so easy. It was going to be messy. It was going to be chaotic. And there was going to be a lot of mystery that we had to peel apart. Simran here helped me peel this, I call peeling the onion. He helped us peel this onion of figuring out how big was our problem. Let's see. So it's a story of leadership, ethics, and surprise allies. As a designer, you'll learn, well, we don't often work a lot with legal. And when we do, they always tell us you can't do that. Or compliancy, you can't do that. It's usually been my relationship with those two entities. But you will be surprised at this ally that we built that has helped us really figure out what is our responsibility. Okay. Next slide, Simran. So, like I said, this was a job I came to do. It wasn't in my job description to do accessibility. I had previously been working in the automotive industry where accessibility is purely a nice to have. Business is like people who shop for cars don't have sight challenges. So it was a nice to have. Dealership people, we were designing for dealership people. Don't worry about that, Georgette. So it was always a nice to have. I owned a design system at my previous company, so I made sure everything was visually accessible, but I didn't have enough influence into the development of our products to really ensure that they were ready for accessible technology. Let's see. Oh, okay. Thanks. I'm glad we have some notes here. So Simran and I have a small design team of about, it sounds big, but it's 9 people globally. I have 2 in India, 1 in France, 1 in Spain, 2 in Amsterdam, 1 in Ottawa, and then 2 here in Austin with me. And we work on identity. So what is identity? It sounds really small, but it really is when you think about it. It's that 10 seconds of you entering in your username and your password, or multi-factor, authenticators. We actually have hardware that we do. We have FIDO keys and PKIs, and they all sound fancy and fun. But it's a really complex space that we work in. But again, we work for identity. We build identity for other companies, right? So some of our companies include Airbus, who are doing workforce related work, so contractors and that kind of thing, where I'm giving you an identity and you're a company that isn't Airbus, you're a partner company, and I'm managing your identity, or I'm having you actually manage your identities, but I can see them. We also have companies like Hugo Boss, where we help corporations manage the identities of their consumers and that relationship and your security, your credit card information. It's a very complex, and there's a lot of responsibility in doing this, right? Because of data security, privacy. The US is easy on privacy, but we do a lot of work in Europe. Whew, I'm going to tell you, Europeans don't like to share data, and that's their culture. And we've had to learn how to work around that or work with that. So my job is to manage our entire identity portfolio, which you'll see here in a minute is little bit bigger than what I thought it was when I started the job. But accessibility, again, wasn't in my job description, but I'm known for it here in Austin as being an accessibility expert because I teach. I've been doing it for several years on the visual side, not development side. So when the problem came up, they pointed to me and like, you own this problem. Let's see. Oh, and yesterday we got to attend a design system thing. We also own our design system, which is really powerful, but also a lot of work. But that's a story for another time. That's a wicked little story we have there. Okay. So the tip of the iceberg. I like to talk about this metaphor a lot. On the surface, we look like we were doing okay. I could see visually in our design system, we had a few things that we needed to work on. Some contrast issues, designers. I needed to add some behaviors to our designers to annotating things so that developers had what they needed to build accessible products. But I could tell that the front end was relatively accessible. My friend over here helped me validate that. But then came this kind of moment. I can't forget it. One of our customers sent our salesperson, who appropriately forwarded it to me, an audit they had done of the experiences they were giving their customers. So our platform is used by administrators to make an experience for you as a consumer or as a business person. And they were telling us, hey, our library constituents aren't experiencing an accessible experience. I was like, well, this is not what I expected. So we kind of had this hint, and then the business goes, oh, by the way, we realized the EAA is coming in June 2025. We might want to make sure everything's accessible. That's easy, Georgette, right? That's just a little bit of work, right? I was like, well, maybe. Let's see. And the OPU moment. This is where I started peeling the onion of our product portfolio. When I joined, we were about 1 year post-acquisition of a company, and we were really focused. The design team had been prioritized to working on the new product, like make the new thing really great, make it really cool. Like, okay, so that's what we focused on. I didn't pay attention to the rest of the portfolio. Oh, well, now you have to be compliant. What's the rest of the portfolio look like? 39 products. Okay, some of them are legacy. Okay, what code base are they in? How do I make these things accessible? Do they have a design system with design tokens that I can adjust to make them visually accessible? Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And then with the acquisition, we realized all these customers the company we acquired had been basically an API company. So they were building custom experiences for every one of their clients. 60 customers with custom experiences. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do about this? Do we own this responsibility? That became kind of our next question here. We also I looked at our auditing. I asked around, asked every product manager of every product that they had, do we have some audits? Crickets, nothing but crickets. Well, luckily I had my partner over here who could help me figure out some of this. So next one. So now we kind of have to sit back, and we're not a huge while it's an 80,000 people corporation, my team is 10 designers. My development team is 250. We compete with the likes of Okta and Ping, who are 10 to 30 times our size. Ooh, do we have the budget to address this? Now we had to do this like ethical gut check. What was our responsibility? Were we responsible for the 60 customer implementations? We knew we were responsible for the product, right? We knew that. Well, we sort of knew that. We had some questions. Everybody was questioning, do we really need to make these admin experiences that are only 100 users? Do we really need to make those accessible? I love product management. They want to find a way to invest in the things that make revenue. And I understand making an administrative experience accessible might not be their top priority. So they questioned it. So we had to sit back and really do this kind of ethical gut check. We had to take the law, we had to read it, we had to translate it for ourselves. We couldn't take anyone else's translation. Did I mention we're a French company? We don't care what anyone else translates this as. We're going to translate it ourselves. In came my angel. So the product management had been asking me, craft communication so we can send this out to our customers, so we can get this work all figured out and lined up, and we can get our professional services team addressing this. I was like, well, having known my relationship with legal previously, I wonder if this actually aligns with what legal wants me to do. So I went over to compliancy. I'm like, hey, can you help me out here? Let's translate the law. There are some questions we have around our responsibility. Do we own responsibility for all of our user types? Because we'll go into the different user types we have. What about all these 60 customers? Do we have responsibility for that? You know, and if we do, what is our responsibility? Not yes or no, but what is our responsibility? And in comes my angel here, Shayna, my compliancy angel. She had no background in accessibility. She grabbed onto this problem. I think the girl read the WCAG just to understand. Like, she would tell me, by the way, this poor metaphor, you know that, or she would try to teach me the poor metaphor. And I'm like, I appreciate you knowing this. Thank you. Because now I don't have to teach her some things. It made my relationship with her so much easier. And so she took the EAA. Luckily, she likes to read stereo instructions and translate them. She read WCAG. I swear she read the whole thing. She read all of the EAA law. I think she touched on the United States ADA law just to see what all of this meant. And she came out with some guidelines and some guidance for us. And at the end of the day, I'm trying not to blow my own presentation here. Oh, how accessible were we today? How big was our risk, right? If we didn't address these things, what was our risk going to be? She helped us determine a risk process and all of that. Go ahead, next one, legal versus ethics. So what we decided, what she and legal told me to do was those 60 customer implementations, it's not your responsibility. We are considered a service provider. So, and the law specifically identifies the control versus service provider. So we are a service provider. Our job is to take direction from our companies, our customers, and make the changes accordingly. We don't own their IP. We don't own their brand. We cannot go in and make changes without their direction. So do not communicate to your customers. They should know this law is coming out. They're all businesses. It's not a secret. You will take direction on these 60 customer implementations from the customer. Now, the ethical argument you have in your, in your stomach when you're faced with this challenge of, gosh, this is tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people potentially experiencing inaccessible experiences. And so in my gut, I'm like, we can't not say something. So my guidance to my sales team and my professional services team has been educate, inform, make them aware so that our customers have some knowledge, some information about this law and the impacts of it. Did I cover everything there? Oh yeah, the friend to the fire thing. So again, understanding scope. Now we're going to just focus. We've determined what we're going to do with these 60 customers. Now we're looking at our product portfolio, which is not small. What are we going to do? We have 3 user types. Administrators, these are technical IT admins. We have business users, that's me as a manager delegating something to him to do through his identity and access. And then we have what I call rest of world. That's everybody else. And that's our largest population. So we used this framework working with compliancy to determine what our ownership or responsibility was for these three user types. And while the business wanted to get out of doing the administration consoles and the administration experiences, which is the largest part of our UI that we build, I had to tell them, sorry, you're not going to get off of it. We're going to make sure they're accessible. Luckily, we'd already been doing some of that work on the new platform. And then the business user, we kind of in the middle here, still a large population. We're going to make those accessible. We're doing that work right now on our new platform. All the stuff that's previous, all the legacy work, we're having to go back, audit, adjust, make changes, and make sure it's accessible. So this goes into that prioritization of we've got just too much for one person to do. One person can't audit 40, 60 experiences. And you'll hear how we scaled Simran through some frameworks and some processes, but we determined what were our priorities, what we were going to audit first, what we were going to mitigate first. And that's how we've been working, is very strategically. Where our biggest risks are in those 60 custom implementations and anything end user experiences that's generated by our core platform. So we went from panic and the OPU moment to we're getting there. We're not quite there. You can see I put that arrow a little bit, not quite into out of chaos. We're still working out some stuff. But, you know, from this really unaware point of view to now becoming more realized, more processed, more accessibility first in our products. The development team is grabbing onto this. We're getting ready to do a bunch of training for them. Part of our increasing program of moving accessibility and design to the left in our process so that when developers get what they need to develop the product, they have everything they need to develop an accessible product, including a design system that's accessible. Again, a story, a really wicked story for another time. We do have some more work to do here. Our components, we've been auditing our design system components, looking at them, determining what we need to do there. We've been looking at all of the screens that we generate, all the login screens that we generate to see that they're accessible out of the box. Let's see, go ahead. So my friend over here, I keep pointing at, this is how I scaled what we've been doing. I couldn't do the work alone. Again, I manage a team and I'm a strategic leader in the business. So I don't have the time to actually do the work. I have to get somebody else to do it. So he started with, again, moving our process to the left, right? We started looking at how we were annotating our designs. And I said, you know, we're not going to hand off an annotation or design unless it is annotated with accessibility, you know, labels and tab orders and all of that. And he's going to show you the work he did. It's really great. It really helped our product team build a more accessible product. We have a handoff process to dev. So he's also done some audits, and we've been working through this process of getting through auditing and then working with PM to go, hey, by the way, you need to fix this, or that's going to be too expensive to fix. Let's document it, mitigate it. If we get any issues, any complaints about it, we will address it then. A little secret about the EAA and European litigation that our compliancy officer was able to educate us about was the EU, the way they're going to litigate this law is country by country by country by country. Each country has got to create an office that will do any litigation. We know it's going to take each country some time to do. Whew. Gave us a little bit of breathing room. We didn't feel it. We feel like the June 28th, we're trying to get everything we can easily, affordably done, but we know we have a longer road, that we don't have to get everything done on the 28th. And we're using the auditing we're doing as a way of building that data set to show if we have some litigation come against us, to show, look, we're working on this problem, actively working on it, constantly actively working on this problem to make our products accessible. Yeah. So hopefully being able to negotiate a little and, you know, work with any litigation to say, hey, we're trying, we're a small company. Some of the aspects of the EAA, one of the aspects of determining whether your product has to be accessible is it a financial burden? Would it hurt your business, ruin your business to make a legacy product accessible? I got some products, there is no way we will ever make them accessible. They're built in archaic technologies. Our product portfolio has been around for 30 years. And the business looks a little bit like the big fish that ate little fish that got ate by some other fish. It's just this conglomerate of acquisitions. So we know there's some stuff we're never going to do. We have a plan. And so, you know, if we ever have any litigation against us, our plan is to say, hey, look, we have an end of life for this product. Here's our plan for this product. But I'll let Simran get into, you know, his process here about how we addressed how we've addressed and built a program. Questions? Yeah, don't forget the mic. No, I'd rather be a conversation, y'all.
Could you talk about how QA may have been involved in your process and who created your VPATs?
Who?
They're the heroes at my company, so.
They have been the heroes in many companies I've been in as well. When companies go through hard times, they start to, I love development and I love some of their radical thinking around, hey, we'll just make QA part of the development process. So we don't have a specific person who's we're responsible. Yeah, that's our problem right there. We don't have specific QA people. Developers QA each other's work. Isn't that great? Yeah. So part of our program, some of our next steps are to get QA back up and going, have them doing these accessibility audits as product is being implemented and rolled out. Yeah. So Simran, the question was who produces our VPATs? So I run a design team, not an accessibility team. I don't have, and my company doesn't have, there is no accessibility anywhere in my company. There are a handful of developers who understand accessibility in my organization of about 2,000 people. So who's going to own it? Well, Georgette, you're the expert. You get to own it. Okay, sure, not a problem. We will be asking for more budget next year because VPATs, I don't feel should be an internal thing. I really want to send them out to the external, validation. But for now, we're doing our own internally. The compliancy team is helping us manage our risks where we go, oh, we know we're not accessible there. We can't be accessible because, again, an identity and access management, you are a user creating a experience for somebody else. You're an admin creating an experience for somebody else. There's a certain level of, you're going to have some visual, you have to have vision because you're creating a visual experience that needs to be accessible. So we say, oh, this is an area where we don't think we can build inaccessibility. So we're documenting it, putting it as a risk, logging it, and keeping it. So hopefully eventually we'll get to an external validation of our VPAT. Any other questions before I hand it off to Simran to talk about how we went about building our process? Okay, stage is yours, my friend.
All good? Well, thank you, Georgette. Yes, I'm a UX designer, senior UX designer in George's team. I am glad few of you are designers and you are in this conference without your boss. I am with my boss. And she is cool and we can fight, oh man, we can fight over anything. This text is not good and we can fight over it. So why accessibility early in the design? We have made accessibility a foundational part of design, not just a checklist at the end. This helps us create inclusive experience from the start. We have improved our design handoffs to the development. We also making sure that we are going to reduce our redesign work down the line. It's not like we are going to catch the errors when things are in the production. We are doing validation, the code right inside the test environment. And our approach that we pick is divided in two parts. There are two pillars. First is Figma annotation. Figma annotations are for the new design that we're working on. And the second one is accessibility spreadsheet for the audit. For this audit is for the new products as well. And as George had mentioned, we have 39 existing products too. So that spreadsheet we created so we can audit our existing products too. Let's talk about Figma annotations first. In our console, we have divided our console into two parts. First is like a global navigation, then we have front-end navigation. This is what we call global navigation, things that remain consistent throughout the product, like your top navigation and your side navigation, right here. And in this design, we annotated skip content. Our top navigation, what is the behavior, our side navigation as well, and what are the tab navigation looks like if somebody is using keyboard. And we also made sure that all the ARIA landmarks are standardized. This is for designers to make their life easier. It's not like designers have to annotate these designs every time they do the design. So this these are the global navigation. They keep consistent. Designers just have to make sure that feature they are working on the micro front end, they are annotated. We are going to talk about this in a bit. We also noted all the keyboard shortcuts, like what's happened when you press space or enter on these menus. If you press space or enter on these menus, they got activated. You can navigate through all the menus with your up arrow, down arrows. And if there are sub menu items in one of the menu, like you can see inside the administrator, there are 3 items. So you press enter, you press space, it activates that sub menu thing, and you can navigate with your keyboard arrows within that submenu. When you press escape, it goes back, and everything is listed here. So developers know how to implement this. Next part, we also highlighted all the landmarks that we have on our console. Like the first landmark here is highlighted with number 1, which is documented here in the node component. The components we created in Figma with one of our designer who is in Austin Scott. I want to mention his name. And the second part is here the navigation. Third part here is the main content where that your micro front end loads. So we did this because we want to make the process speed up for someone who is using assistive technology. When you're using your keyboard and you turn your assistive technology on, you can move across those regions quickly. Any question? And if you have any image, we have only one image in our console. We are putting it there, and our businesses, they can overwrite this image by putting their logo, and we are making sure these images have alt text, and this alt text is also customizable by our businesses. And we also recommend to document the behavior of this logo. In our case, this is not interactable. In your case, if it is interactable, like you click on it, you go to home page or somewhere else, you have to document in the notes. So this is the component that we created in Figma to document all this.
Before you move on to the content area, I want to jump in and say, so we defined this once and it looks like it's one console, but in fact, we have 4 products and we use this for every product. So we got to define this once and tell development, just reuse this over and over, which saved us design capacity, right? We have some experiences that are consumer facing that we would love to make a little more consumer friendly. We just don't have capacity to address that right now. So we're using what I call the enterprise elbow, right? That header at the top, the left-hand navigation everywhere, which saved us development time and saved us design time. Yeah. No, go ahead. Oh. Forgot you need the mic.
Information architecture at all in this process?
A lot.
Okay.
A lot.
Because I would imagine with a lot of like legacy products, you continue to add and sticker more features as
Bingo.
time goes on. I work for a legacy-ish product, and our navigation could use some love. And I would imagine you really have to like prioritize pages on here. I would love to hear a little bit more about your information architecture.
So as the design manager, I lead I lead the architecture, our UX architecture. And you're right. So every legacy product we have has a roadmap for becoming part of this platform, which means my architecture is constantly in flux and constantly being added to. And then when you consider that administrators, when you get access to this console, you don't get access to the whole console unless you're a super admin. So now how does your architecture react when you have only access to a submenu item or a tertiary item and you don't have the whole path? So building a dynamically rendering navigation has been something that I've been working with our development team to help them better understand, like, hey, look, when, Bob has the super thing, it works really well, and this is what it's going to look like, and it works great. But, when Joe comes in and he only has journeys, which is one of our submenu items, what's that going to look like in his navigation? Why does he have like 3 empty nodes above this? We don't want that. We want to we want our navigation to gracefully degrade so that the navigation is their control for their content area. But yeah, I'm working on that right now. Well, I'm supposed to be working on that, but I'm here. It is complicated. And the more products we bring in and the more like features these products have, an IDP, an identity provider. This is that magic little, I call it the black box that does something that allows you access. Every one of our products that we're bringing in has their own way of managing these. And then the core platform has its way of managing these things. So you can see we're leveraging poly hierarchies a lot, the hierarchical navigation, but then poly hierarchies of jumping from one place to another, because nothing in our product is isolated. Everything refers to something else. You set something over here, it creates something over there. If you want to add something here, you have to go over there. And how are we going to do that? And I would love to say I had a development team that could build a very dynamically rendering application. I don't. I have a very immature front-end team. Actually, I don't even have a front-end team. I have a few front-end developers sprinkled about. So we're having to accommodate and build, design is taking the hit for the development lack of maturity. And we're developing polyhierarchical navigation to do something that I would have rather have done something more dynamic and rendered much cooler. But you do what you can, you do what you need to do. Okay, Simran, back to you.
Thank you. Yes. And coming to the micro front end, so Georgette mentioned why we call it micro front end. So for example, if you go to this user section here that I'm pointing to, so this user page that loads here, it can load in different platforms. It can load an admin platform. It is same page that loads on self-service. You remember when you go to your icon, you say show my profile. It's the same page that loads on your self-service as well. So that's why we call it micro front end. I think it's a widely accepted term. So we are not using something out of.
But our micro front ends are macro front ends, not micro front ends. I'm working with development to better understand that the UX architecture can make small things. They treat this as two micro front ends, one big container here, one container on the side. And like, if we want to decompose this into smaller functionality with permissions at a more granular level, y'all going to have to decompose your macro front ends into real micro front ends, please. But again, development maturity, that's a challenge. We're working on it.
And talking about the front end, so here comes the designer's work. If you're working on some feature, you have to annotate that feature robustly. You don't need to care about the navigation and everything that is documented at one place, and developer can jump to that place if they want to refer. But when you are working on micro front end, you have to annotate each and every element, how it is going to work. For example, we have created those patterns in Figma that you can highlight headings like H1, H2, H3 clearly, so developers know how to create this. If there are links on your page, like we have a link that takes you to the previous page, you don't see like just back. What does back mean, right? So we have this noted here, documented here. It should speak when someone is using assistive technology that this is a back to administrator overview page. So whichever page is on the back, you have to name it, just don't sit back. And similarly, we have another complex element here, which is the search. So we document that search here with the detail, what is the behavior it's going to be when it is blank. When you start typing, what it is going to announce to a person who is using assistive technology. What is dynamic feedback? Like when you type 3 characters, what is going to happen? If there is no result, you have to communicate to the person who is using assistive technology, like there is nothing, right? You can define your search. And when you put something here, there is a cross icon appear on the search. We documented that as well. Like when you click on the cross icon, that clears the search.
Now, I want to call out, this is what it looks like today. And I would say our annotations are getting very mature. It's actually, as a manager, there were 2 strategies for me for this. One was to help us build an accessible product, because I knew if I got these annotations in there and developers could see it, they could do it while they're developing it. Why go back and try to bolt on accessibility later and redo all your code, right? The other one was, we're a small design team. I say we're small, we're 10, we have 250 developers. You do the math, that's like 1 to 25. So our ratios are not as high as I'd like them to be, especially when building a brand new product, right? Brand new products, the standard ratios are like 1 to 8, 1 to 12. So I'm way out of ratios. So I'm trying to save my design team some time in the upkeep and that delivery work that we have to do. And so by adding these annotations and up leveling our maturity on our design artifacts, my hope is that what was 50% sometimes of delivery support for developers will go down to 10%, I hope, so we can work on more discovery, which is the fun stuff that we like to do, right? We love working with our developers. They're our partners in crime, right? But if I don't have to, and I get to go create new cool stuff, I'd rather do that.
Yes, and there are tab navigation as well, like what happened when you press your keyboard tabs. So that is also documented when you load your first, for example, you click on user, you click on your administrator roles, when some page loads up, where your cursor is, right? So we highlighted very clearly the cursor, the first tab is going to be on the first interactive element inside the micro front end. So you can start working right away. So, and when you press shift tab, which is take you back, so this is the back element, then you press shift tab, which is going to take to the navigation and so on. If you keep pressing tab, which is going forward, you can navigate through this form using your keyboard. And these are the annotation, and these are the Figma components that we created. As Georgette said, these are reusable components, and this library is published within our team, and we are extending this to other teams, so they can also take leverage out of it.
Yeah, for context there, we are one design team of 10, but there are nearly 300 designers in Talus working across 5 business units. These business units are very siloed against each other because we're in security and defense. But we are pushing these on into our centralized design organization, and they are then pushing them down into every one of the business units. So we're gaining influence in our company, right? And we're helping designers, that's our job, is to help each other because there's not enough of us, so it's great outcome for us as a design team to impacting other design teams and helping them improve their processes. Because while we're a team of 10, my peer is a team of 3 against the same number of developers. So we're trying to help other designers become more efficient.
And here are some examples that annotation was built in Figma. I'm not saying implement it as the same that we did. Just go look at your requirement. If you have more complex or less complex things to address, just alter these annotation and use it as you like. For example, for the headings, we have created those purple tags, and you can use it very freely, and it's very flexible. If you have like a complex UI, you can change the direction of this component and you say H1, H2, H3, whatever it is. For the landmark regions, we have created these components. We are keeping it in different color. You see that when you go to those nodes, you can actually read those tags. This node is for landmarks very clearly so developers can see. And same thing for the tab order. This is the tab order that pattern we created. When you press tab, how it is navigating.
You would just assume developers would go, oh, look, input field 1, input field 2, input field 3. You would just think they would do that, and God bless them.
And dynamic elements, I'm pretty sure you know what dynamic elements are. Like for example, let's say your form render with the 2 options, and you pick the second option, your form renders differently. So you have to tell your developers, just don't skip navigation from these newly appeared elements. You have to address the tab order for these elements too. So yeah, so these are the dynamic elements. Then we have a text alternatives. So we have created another tags like images. You can, if there are more images in your platform, in your feature you're working on, you can point them with the numbers, and with these numbers will be referred to the documentation right with the Figma art codes. So how to put those alternative text. Accessibility link names, like don't say back again, once again, that you have to name it properly, back to delegated manager or whichever page it is. Is it okay now? Okay. Okay. You can try this. Is it good now? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right. How you see that? It's not working fine. Just the arrow? Oh, she's expert.
Yeah. Magic.
Yeah. I thought she was here.
It makes us look good.
Then we have button states. It's not recommended for designers to annotate each and every button because buttons are everywhere in the console. But in special cases, for example, we have disabled button or got disabled buttons. Don't do that in your product. But if you're doing that in your product, just make it clear in your documentation what a user need to do to make those buttons enable. And we have a philosophy, even that button or some elements are disabled, it has to receive the focus and it has to announce the user with the tooltip, like why it is disabled and what's going to happen. Even VCAG doesn't say like if a button is disabled, you can ignore the color contrast, but we're still making sure it is readable because the element is there on your screen, right? If it's not readable, you don't need to remind a user like you are disabled, you cannot see, right? So your product should be disabled should be accessible out of the box. I said disabled. And the last one is
saying that you're it's on. Is it good? Okay. Um, what was I saying? Sorry. Disabled button states. So you're saying you're making it like usually like they're invisible to like screen readers,
They
right?
won't focus, right?
So you're making it have a focus state.
Yes, we're using so we have many things. Again, you can configure something here and it has effect over here.
Uh-huh.
If I can't choose the thing that I want here,
Yeah.
because it's not made yet, how do I inform the user, hey,
Exactly.
you haven't configured that thing over
Yeah.
there? So the way we're doing it is using a disabled state with a focus and a
Okay.
tooltip to inform them with a link to the over there to inform them that, hey, if you want to make that selection, you got to go over there and configure it before you can make that selection.
I love that.
So I made a very deliberate choice to say that we would not disable anything
Yeah.
in the UI
Mhm.
so that it wasn't focusable. But it had this huge impact of like, well, what are we going to do when they haven't configured that thing over there that needs to be? So it had a huge impact, but I think it's going to make, again, we're a technical platform and we have a lot of early career users.
Mhm.
I think it's going to help them. And I don't have to build this huge help system and this huge documentation to help them that they have to go now dig through and figure out, well, how do I get that configured?
Awesome. Thank you.
Alrighty, and the next one is motion and timing. We have two success messages which appear when you do something, update or create a new object. So you have to document that behavior as well. Like what is the animation, where it comes from, how long it stays on the screen, if it is auto dismissal, if there is a close, then you have to receive the focus, so things like that. So we recommend our designers to document each and everything about those success messages for everything that pops up on your screen with ARIA labels. All right, so until now, you have seen how we are improving the new products that we are working on, new features that we are working on, but we have to fix the existing products as well. So the strategy for that we had adopted, I'm going to share with you. So first of all, we looked at the market. Those trainings, first of all, Thales is a very complex organization. I'm pretty sure you are from the big organizations. Things don't move very fast. We had only 6 months. If you want to acquire something from the market and pay for it, in Thales, it took, I'm not cursing my company, sorry about that, but it took like months just
He's
to.
talking about the procurement process, right? So the procurement process in a company in the United States isn't a lot of fun, but I used to just be able to go and go, hey, here's my credit card. I'd like to buy, this training. I want to buy this other thing. Within our company, it takes me a minimum of 4 months to buy anything that I could buy with a credit card, and they won't let me buy it with a credit card. So we looked at this problem and went, oh, how are we going to get our development team trained on this in short order when we can't buy the training that's out of the box and would teach our developers how to do it? So what did we do?
So yeah, so we recorded our own videos to test each and every criteria that is listed in the VCAG. With the Axe Dev tool for the automated testing, with the manual testing, we were using Apple VoiceOver, Google Talkback, then narration for the Windows. They have introduced a built-in. I appreciate that to Windows. Earlier, you have to use like JAWS, which is very expensive and very complex to use. So we recorded each and everything. We included good examples out from the market, like Amazon, the way the Amazon search works. It's really good. So we included those third-party examples as well. And we created our own video. You can see that this video is 32 minutes long. So yeah. So the goal was make accessibility more approachable and empower, so we don't need to do it ourselves. So we included more teams, more developers, so they jumped and they started auditing with us. So I have that spreadsheet here with me. I can show you a live demo how it works. So here, if you are interested, just reach us. We can send you the links of these annotations and this Excel spreadsheet. So this Excel spreadsheet is built in two pages. First is like audit overview, and then audit detail. So we'll go in the detail of this. So first, here is who is the auditor, what you are auditing, when you audited the detail. If you have your notes, your report summary, you can put it there. Then this section is about the scope of the audit, like which product. Then we have a scope of the product, which part of the product you audited. If you are auditing a complete product, just the login page or the checkout cart, you have to list it down here. In VCAG version, but we were only targeting VCAG 2.1 AA, so we have listed that as well. And then tool requirement, we were using DQ dev tool. I'm not advertising them, but it's really good. And VCAG, quick reference, just in case, because we are new organization, people are adopting. So the quick link is also presented here, and which takes you to the VCAG quick reference right away. So this part, these three parts, they are built dynamically. So when you are auditing your product, the numbers automatically comes up here. So this here, this is showing you the high level total number, like how many supports, how many partially supports, how many not supported you have encountered. Cannot tell, this is something that we introduced new. Sometimes what is happening are developers, because I told you they are new and they are auditing and they don't know how to do that. So they don't feel like blocked. They just pick another item, like I cannot tell, I have to ask someone. So we know like they are not sure how to do this. So we can jump, we can audit ourselves, or they can ask us how to do this. The same number is, this is a different way of showing the same numbers. Like each criteria from VCAG is listed here. I think there are 78, and all the AAA ones, we were not targeting AAA because we don't have that requirement for now. So we grayed out. Like our developers can skip this part, and you see that those numbers are coming up inside not applicable. If you have requirement, you can put them inside like not checked. And the same numbers are showing up in the third way, which is according to your page, like how many errors you have detected for each page. Let's go into the action, how we do this audit. So you go to the second sheet. Let's create something quickly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's say I'm naming it login. Then it could be page 1. It could be page 2. I know now accessibility for everyone, because I'm holding a mic in one hand. I have to type with other one. Okay. So if I show you how it looks on the overview page, you see that it's very dynamic and it's automatically populate everything. And when you are auditing, so here in this, each column has one criteria from VCAG. So the group comes first, like text alternative. Then this is the criterion. We call it non-text content. You click here if you want to read, if someone who is auditing, they want to read it in detail, how to do that. I want to bring this screen. Yeah, here. So it takes you to the right criteria if you want to read that in detail. But we also have small text here. Sometimes what happens, you just have to remind yourself quickly what it is about again. So you read it, oh, okay, it's about image, then you can audit that. Then we also put like it is related to single A, double A, or triple A's. We also helped our people to recognize it from like it is the automatic audit, or it have to be do manual. And let's say from this list, I can pick support, partial support, not support, cannot tell. So these are pre-filled, so they don't need to type anything here. So let's say I pick this one was supported, this one I cannot tell, this one partially support, this is oops, not supported, and this one is again not supported. Let's pick one more, and I'm going to skip. So double A's are highlighted in orange, and triple A's are grayed out. Again, because it is not applicable on us for now, maybe we are going to expand this. In your case, if it is applicable, make sure you are doing this. And info and relationship, because this is the main one. So let's say I pick support, I say not support, partial support, and I cannot tell. So let me show you how it looks on the overview page. So the numbers are automatically getting populated here. When you do something, you change it, it is appearing here. So this is, oops. So this is a page view. Each page name is appearing here. So this is a high level view for each criteria, like which criteria is failing more. You see that not supported are 2 here. So that mean I can tell that most of the images are getting failed. Most of the info and relationship is getting failed. And similarly, I can see, okay, most of the things are supported. So which part we are supporting, which part we are not. And this is something for the high level people. If you have a business people who are asking you question, you can just show them quickly. So this is the scale of your problem, right? So these are the total number. So this is total number you have to check 640 and you just check these much. So just in case they ask you like, why it is taking so much time? If you have people like that in your organization, you can tell them, okay, so this is not a small work.
Having looked through this, this to me feels like a VPAT or accessibility conformance report on steroids. I'm curious, did you design this completely from scratch or did you go off an existing template?
We referred, there is online tool that you can create. It is on the WCAG website. You can list it, list your issues there. But again, with Thales, the problem is you cannot share anything with external company. So even they block those links. So we have to create, so we took the inspiration from WCAG and we created the spreadsheet for ourselves. So it's not something that adopted from the market. And yes, so this is how that audit report works. And we give this links to different organizations. They can put their names so we can know who is auditing this. You want to say anything? Yeah, please.
I'm going to jump in. So, between not being able to buy training for our team to teach them how to audit, because Georgette doesn't scale, Simran doesn't scale, he can't do it all. Between recording our own auditing videos, here's how you audit. And then I would call pair auditing. He would jump in, help our developers learn how to audit. And then this awesome spreadsheet, that there's actually a spreadsheet on top of this for executives like me to look at what's the problem across our product portfolio. I know it's Excel, but oftentimes we as designers design for Excel because, it's a great way to manage information and manage this process. But all of that really gave us this we're building our data set, right? We're building our data to prove that we're trying to address this. Because every time we do an audit, we date it, we add an audit, we add it to our spreadsheet, bam, we've got a longitudinal proof of what we've been working on.
Right. So this is first part of the story. Just don't stop there because the goal of this spreadsheet is you are going to hand it over to development, to product management, so they can go and fix it. So the next part is you have to prepare your report. And this is the template of the report. I cannot show our report again for the same reasons. We don't share anything. We are mean people. So this is the structure of that report. For each problem that you detect, make sure you are listing on which page and which component that issue is. What is the location of that element, if it is in a header, sidebar, or inside a model. So if someone who is looking at it, a developer sitting somewhere else, they know where to find this issue and reproduce this. Then we have an accessibility issue determined, make it in a detail, like what's happening. Image text is missing. If you want to give them recommendation, do recommendation, review with your tech writers. So make this report exhaustive. Then the WCAG 2.1 or 2.2, whichever is applicable to you, you list it down, which criteria is getting violated. This is a proof that you have to fix this to address this. Include screenshots of if you need small short clip videos, do that. then you prioritize those issues on high to low scale and talk to your product management team. So because they are going to jump to you after you submit this report, they will say, hey, you know what, this is a large report. You tell us 2 things that we need to fix. So you tell them this is a high, this is medium, this is low, but at the end you have to fix everything. And this is a recommendation from UX standpoint, but product management can decide we are not going to do this. And at the end, they are going to be responsible for this.
You want the mic?
Yeah.
Sorry if you already answered this, but we had a comment saying if it was possible to get a link to the spreadsheet or if there was like a template link for the spreadsheet possible at all.
We can share it. I
Okay.
can't give you a link. It's.
You have to speak in them.
Oh, yeah. I have to speak in the mic, right? So we're happy to share anything that we're showing here today in a not our data. So the templates we are happy to share. Just reach out to us. I can't provide you a link because if I do, it's going to be behind my firewall, and you can just imagine if I'm a security company, the answer is going to be no. You don't have an identity. Sorry, right? We're going to deny you. Oh, I was going to say, so design, I inherited a really great legacy at my company when I joined. My predecessor had been building the practice of UX and had really built an influence in their organization that I was like, oh, I'm not used to this. I walked into this and I'm used to the, can you make it pretty? And God, we have a lot of influence. So with the things, product management really relies on us to go, how, our severity is the 2x2 matrix, right? How severe is the problem? Does it break? And how big is the problem? How many people are impacted by it? Our goal is to open these tickets and backlogs for developers and product managers and product owners to prioritize so that all of this is already documented there, and lovingly, we can just gently influence people to doing this work. We also use a bug bash kind of idea where we offer a reward when we do a hackathon for developers to go, hey, could you go fix some of this stuff for us? So still developing. Like I said, we're still in our phases of working this out, but important to get these things your job is not done when you hand this over to product management, because they're going to go, oh, that's really nice. It's really to get it into a tool of record. We use Jira so that you can continue to remind product management that this is important. It's on somebody's backlog. That's your job as an auditor, is to get it on the product development backlog so it gets addressed.
Yes, so we are putting high, medium, low here. VCAG don't recommend doing that. We are not recommending doing this. This is just for the development team and product management team. Like, you can go fix this first, second this, third this, but you have to fix all. It is not like some contrast is failing at some page and it's something that you can ignore. If you receive a complaint from your customer, you are not compliant, then yes, it has to be fixed, even if it is small. The high, medium, low is just something like this can be done quickly. This needs more effort. So that's why we have those high, medium, lows here. So this is the part that Georgette was mentioning. This sheet, we did not stop there. We get one step forward because we were auditing multiple products at the same time. And we created this spreadsheet for the business people who were asking us, like, where you are, what is the status? So all the products, again, this is a dynamic spreadsheet. It is linked to each spreadsheet, and the product name is getting populated from that spreadsheet. Who is the responsible team? Who is the responsible auditor? You see that in your spreadsheet in first section, you put your name here. So whatever name, whatever date you put here, it automatically gets populated in the spreadsheet. Who is the and who is the PM for this? Oh, shoot, what's happening? the quick links for the spreadsheet, just in case your business people want to see, okay, let's see what's happening here. They can go into the spreadsheet in detail. If there are reports, link those reports as well. And there is a status just to calm down the fire. Okay, this much is complete. This is not started. This is in progress. And this is the high level numbers, like total this much, total this much, total this much need to be fixed or ignored. Yeah. Yeah, you see that product 0102, it's a fancy name for the product. So with that, what we achieved, the results, a shared understanding that we try to build across our organization. This improved the faster dev cycles. And we are not, before 6 months, we were at a point where we were thinking, okay, let's make something accessible. Now we are reaching a point where we are thinking, not only accessible, let's make that score higher with this approach that we took. And what's next? I want to quote Georgette's cost quote here. Did I say G to you? So we call her G most of the time. Yeah. So she say most of the time, like start small and keep expanding the love. So that's our approach. We started small with the accessibility and training different teams across the organization. We are still learning. We are enhancing our Figma pattern library. We are including new patterns every month. So because we are learning as we go, right? So if there is something new coming up, we made sure it is documented in our Figma patterns so it can be reused further. With that, I want to give it back to Georgette.
Not only are we doing it in Figma, right? Figma is pixels on the screen. If it doesn't reflect in our development library, our code library, it doesn't happen. So a little bit about our design story, and this is a whole long story for another time, but when I joined Talus had a corporate design system they had been working on for a while. It was pretty immature when I joined, but the acquisition that we had made a year prior to my joining had their own design system. So if you're a business, what do you do when you're asked to use this immature design system, but you have your own over here? Well, you restyle the one over here. So I can't leverage the corporate design system. I own my own design system and own library. It looks like that one over there that we call Quantum. The problem is it's not built composably. The mantra when they first started working on the product was, let's make components very rigid so we can control the outcome for consistency. And I'm like, wow, I mean, sure, but we're going to have to triple the size of our design system team because we're going to have to create components for everybody and every instance and every unique thing. So we are now in the process, this PI, we work safe, scaled agile for framework for enterprises. In this PI, the development team's doing an exploration of what's it going to take to change our design system to an atomic or a composable design system, because I need developers to not be blocked by my design system team, because my design system team is 2 half developers also working on productive product. So that, or I'm going to have to build a design system team. I already have one designer half dedicated to it. I need to up my game. Need to have one fully dedicated designer to it and one fully dedicated developer to it. But that gets tricky with the relationship. When you look at our org structure, design and product management are over here. Development's way over here. And so me owning a developer and managing a developer in some companies I found to be pretty sticky. I've had, VPs of engineering tell me, no, Georgette, you will not manage developers. Okay, but I need them. And so I've worked it out. But a year ago, we had this problem that we were all panicking about, going, oh, what are we going to do, running around with our heads cut off, going, how are we going to figure this out? And, through this process of finding partners and our angels, through building our own program, which is still really immature. I don't want to oversell it. It's really immature still. We're working on it. We have many more steps. I intend to have come in and do training of my development organization, of all my front-end developers, so that they are skilled and practiced. Then I expect them to actually use the skills I'm going to train them with. And then we're going to continue, Simran is going to continue to train everyone on the development team to audit and mitigate their own problems so that I don't have to do it because I don't have a team big enough to do it. What's our last slide here? Yeah, what we learned. Don't panic, prioritize. I don't panic, but find your Shana, train everyone, and lead with your art, right? Lead with those ethics that you have of not what do you have to do, but what's the right thing to do, right? Stick versus carrot. I'm going to sell this with carrot all day long. I've been tremendously successful selling it with the carrot. But I do threaten with the stick every once in a while. I'm like, hey, product manager, if you don't fix this problem, here's what could happen. This is the risk you are taking on if you don't solve it. Okay, what's the last thing? Yeah, so I own product design and product management side of the house, and our definition of done. Our definition of done now includes a lot of annotations, accessibility annotations. Like hey, designer, I look. When they say they've passed something off, because I can't look at everything of such a large design team, I look and I'm like, if you didn't annotate that, that's not done. Go back and do it. Haven't had to do that. They all want to do the right thing as well. But I'm also having to influence the definition of done in development, which is little more influencing, right? I have to influence my development organization of it's not done till it's accessible. And we're gonna test it to see if it's accessible. And when it is, then it's done. So what else did I have in here to say? I wanted to talk about, oh, yeah, you gave away my last slide now. Doing the right thing ethically is really altruistic and it feels good, but I also have a business. I have to make money. So I have to balance this and protect my business and balance and do as much as I can that I can afford to do at a time. And that's been my strategy of balancing and protecting my business, both protecting it from any litigation or any inaccessible product experiences, but also balancing it so that we can build product that we can sell. That's another story. That it? Next one, last slide. We'll end it up here. So thanks for listening. This is how we felt. Everything's fine. We use this a lot on our design team. Everything's just going to be fine. I like the run to the fire metaphor, and I appreciate my team for running to the fire on this one. Okay, anybody have questions? Mike in the back.
Is it working? It's all good. Okay, cool. So I specifically have a question about like your annotations. I've started trying to do that on like my team. But like I'm not really sure how to go about it with like dev handoff. Like how do you show it to developers? Like do you just show them the designs for the annotations, or like how do they understand it? Sorry, that's a very complex question.
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
Okay. So we do our design handoff meetings with the design. Most of it. It's not like we just forward a link to them. We have Figma dev licenses, so they see all the annotations there. So you have to train them. Sure, even sometimes something is written there, nobody read it. Who read text, right? So you have someone with a stick over their head, and you just keep pushing the right thing. So yes, it's not like we shoot everything all together to the devs. Otherwise, they will think we are reviewing some kind of design. We never did that. We are just reviewing the stuff with them that is included in your feature. For example, if my feature has only 3-4 annotations, so only that stuff is reviewed with them, not everything.
I'm gonna add to it. So I insist that my designers have a handoff to developers, not an email, a meeting I want you to walk them through this. What's an interesting thing that happened culturally recently is development went, hold on, we have some ideas that we want to make in the product too. I'm like, well, that's great, but we've already designed it. They're like, hey, we want to be in the process farther to the left. I'm like, okay, great, good. This means that, because normally, you know, the business will say, hey, hands-on keyboards for developers, that's value to the business, right? But now development's going, and they're not managed by product management, right? In my organization, development's going, hey, we want to work and collaborate with you earlier, Georgette. Great. Means my handoff process is going to be so much easier because right now, you know, they're focused on their PI and over here making the stuff that we made a previous PI. Now they're going to come into the conversation earlier. So hopefully our handoff process is going to simplify a lot. You had a question, Noel?
Yes. So I was just very curious about your annotations for interactive elements. You define your key combinations. So you talk about like this works with the space bar, this works with enter keys. Why did you choose that route over function? Like to say, okay, this activates something and works with the enter key and a space bar. And how do roles fit into that? Because that's a button for like just
You're right,
everybody's
it's a
context.
button
That's a
at the end.
button, and if you're going to use an enter key, that's a link. So why wouldn't you just say this navigates and activates with the enter button, or this performs a function and activates with buttons and space?
So you're asking how we decided it's.
Yeah, how
really
did you
for
come up
enter.
with that? I guess.
So for
way
that,
of
we did our
annotating?
secondary research. We were looking at different products, how they are doing things. For example, if you're looking at Microsoft products, they are very well accessible. Even the Netflix, Amazon, and our competitors like Okta and others. So this is a very standard behavior wherever you go. Even the school software, if you have kids, how those softwares work, the space in enter is a standard behavior.
Yeah.
If you leave one of the key out, so it's going to be confusing. So it's not something that we introduced, already standardized behavior.
Okay.
The button.
So and just out of curiosity, like, is it up to the developers to make sure it's the correct role?
Because we developed our design system in-house, we have not inherited, it's not Google's, it's not Carbon, it's ours. Right? So everything is customly created, even the buttons are customly created. So we made sure that buttons behavior is there. Enter and space is a buttons behavior, not only space, not only click.
Okay.
So that's why we also mentioned in the disabled, usually when you disable a button in HTML, it hides it from the screen reader. We are customizing it. We don't call it disable, we call it read only. So you go to this and there is a tooltip appear so you can read what that button does. So,
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's not a disabled button.
right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
So we are changing some of the behavior of the components, standard components to make them more accessible.
okay, great. Thanks.
Just real quick, I was wondering if the slides are available because I didn't see them.
I'm putting our email address on the screen so it is shared with the Zoom.
Yeah, reach out to him. Yeah, reach out to him. Yeah, so the slides are available. We've actually provided them to Nobility and Access U. We need to update them because we made a lot of changes on the fly here, but they have the slides. Yeah, you can have everything we have. We'll just make sure to rent some of any of our product. Again, we're a security company and we're European and we are suspicious of everyone. Any other questions for today? No? I put in that awkward researcher in me and like, let's let them give. Okay, well, thank you for listening. Much appreciate your audience and your collaboration on what is, I hope, a call to action to you, which is make your definition of done in your organization to include being accessible. And, you know, designers, don't be afraid of all the technology you have to learn to be able to do the auditing. Have a Cimarron, find a Cimarron, scale the Cimarron so that you can, like, I tease him all the time, I'm cloning him, right? Shh. Oh, our email addresses, you want me to say them? Yeah, so for those who want that, so it's Georgette, Georgette Sullivan, Sullivan, at Talus Group, THALESGROUP.com. Same for Simran, only it's, you can do yours.
Yes, I think it is visible on the screen. So, yeah, Simranjit, yeah, right.
So feel free to email either of us or both of us. We will share everything that we can share. So good. Okay. Well, thank you. You all have a great day. Never know on my platform. Yeah.
Thanks, Georgette. Thanks, Simran. And thanks, everyone, for attending. And thanks on the Zoom as well. We do have an end of session survey that we would like you to fill. If we can put up the QR on the screen.